What's up everybody, welcome back or to the channel. So today we're going to do something a little bit different for 2021. We're actually going to be swapping out my old RGB Rocklights for brand new Bright White Rocklights. So what we're going to have to do is take off the fender flares, then unbolt the actual wheel well liners that are underneath, and then we're going to have to unmount the old Rocklights, and then we're going to have to mount and rewire all the brand new Rocklights. Now, currently I have 2 Rocklights in each wheel well for a total of 8. Now we're going to be putting in 3 Bright White Rocklights in each wheel well, and then I'm going to put 4 more in the front grille area, and then we're going to put 4 more underneath the truck, 1 in the front, 1 in the back, 1 on each side. So the goal is we're going to end up with a total of 20 Rocklights for now. So we got a lot of wiring to do, but first, before we get into that, we have to start unmounting everything else. Okay, so as you can see here, I have 1 Rocklight right there, and I have 1 Rocklight right there. Okay, now these are the RGB. That means they're controlled by an app, and you can change the colors. Now this year, I'm not super concerned about colors because I want to go bright white, and I want to reduce the amount of apps that I have to use to work these Rocklights, because sometimes these apps can be a little finicky and not always work. So we're going to be replacing them with these new, you can see right here, NXT LVL Next Level Industries. These are online on Instagram, or you can go to their website and I'll post a link in the description. But these are actually really nice. They're very heavy duty metal, not plastic. They have a nice lead wire coming off the back, and these are bright white. These are not RGB, so you don't have to worry about using an app to run them. So I have a bag open over here. Let's take a closer look at what they look like. Okay, so here it is. Now these ones right here, they're all metal, nice and heavy duty. Okay, you're gonna get multiple rows of LED lights here. And it does come with a rubberized mounting pad. And it does come with a package of all your mounting hardware. And then what I normally tell people to do is, before you start installing any Rocklights, make sure you test them. So just get like a regular battery if you want, and then you could just take the positive to the positive, negative to the negative. If I can get in there with one hand. There you go. So you can see how bright they are. So always make sure you test each light before you install them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that first to make sure all my lights are working. As long as they're all working, then I'm gonna go ahead and take off all 4 fender flares, pull out all the actual wheel well liners, then I'll have to climb underneath and unplug all of these Rocklights, because these are the ones that are plug and play. There's a module under here that I actually plug those in. So we're gonna go ahead and unplug all that and undo all that. So I'll be back here shortly once we're ready to start mounting these new ones in. So I'll be back. Okay, so I actually went ahead and opened up each individual Rocklight, and I stripped each end, and I tested each one to make sure it's working with my battery here, and everything's good to go. Okay, so we're back, and I went ahead and I actually started cutting off all the zip ties for the power module here that was underneath the bottom of the truck. So that's what we're working on now. So now that we got everything unplugged, we can now start working on taking off the fender flares and getting the wheel well liners removed. And then once we do all that on all 4 wheels, then we can start actually dismounting the old Rocklights and putting in the new ones. Okay, so we got the back fender flare taken off, and we got the back wheel well liner taken out. Let's work on getting all the old Rocklights removed and get the new ones installed, and then we'll do wiring after that. Okay, so we're back. I got all of the wheel well liners removed, all the fender flares removed, and I got all of the existing Rocklights unplugged and removed. So if you look here, I got that one done. I got this one done, and I actually did take a hose to it just to clean it all out. I'll have to wipe these wheel wells off before I put the fender flares back on. If I come over here, got that one done, and I got that one done over there. Okay, next step is I'm gonna go ahead, drill a 3rd hole in each wheel well liner right in the center, because typically I had a Rocklight here and over here. Now I'm gonna do one right in the center of each wheel well. We're gonna go ahead and get all 3 Rocklights put in and mounted in each wheel well Once all that is done and mounted, then we're gonna start our wiring. Now, some of you may be wondering why I am actually switching out my rock lights, and I'll tell you why. Now, this has nothing to do with the quality of my previous RGB rock lights. They were fine, okay? I got them from a company called One Up Lighting, and they were good lights, they worked. I can't complain about the lights themselves. But a couple things that I didn't like, and this is probably the same case for almost any RGB rock light, and we'll get into this more in a minute. Most of these RGB rock lights, for one, will not allow the LED lights to go to their brightest, because a lot of times to change the colors, they're adjusting the brightness of each LED bulb to mix and blend with other lights to create a different effect. So you're probably not getting the full brightness effect of that light. That's number one. Number two, the white version, if you got an RGB plus W that actually has the white, the same thing, they're going to adjust the LED bulbs to create the white light. The white light was bright, but it wasn't very white and it wasn't very bright. It was just sort of a white-ish light. So that was problem number two. The main problem I had was that the RGB lights are controlled by an app. The app is finicky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. You hit a green button, the lights turn blue. You hit a blue button, they turn red. You hit white, they turn off. It's one of those things where you never know what you're gonna get, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And normally I would just pick the color that I wanted and just leave it there. But you know, sometimes you want to do something different and it's not always convenient because the app doesn't always work. That's another problem. Another issue that I found is that when you have your phone connected to your vehicle in terms of music and Apple CarPlay, Android CarPlay, whatever the case is, the app has to connect to your phone. So sometimes I noticed that when my phone was connected to the vehicle, my phone would not connect to the app, and I'd have to go through this whole process of going into my Bluetooth settings, turning off the connection to my truck, then manually connecting to the app just to be able, it was a pain. So that was another problem I had. So that was really the main issues that I had with the RGB rock lights. I'm not saying they're bad, I'm not saying anything about that, I'm just saying they're not very convenient and they're very finicky when it comes to working correctly. So that's the main reason why I'm switching over to an all bright white rock light. That way it's hardwired in, I have no app to deal with. All I have to do is hardwire it into a switch in my truck. Boom, hit the switch, they turn on. When I'm done, hit the switch, they turn off. They're good to go. I can even add additional lights if I want to add more. Okay, so we're back. So again, because I already had the holes drilled from my previous rock lights, I already just used the existing holes and put these rock lights in. So the wire basically just goes through the middle hole, and then you'll have two holes at either end for your bolts that mounts them, and then they'll actually just mount to the back like that. So it's pretty much all you're gonna need there. Now I am gonna add a third one in the middle. So all I did was figure out the distance from here to there, figured out the center point, and drilled a small pilot hole for my wires to go through. Then, once you line it up, I'm just gonna use this for example, this is the rubber pad. Once you have your center hole for your wire, line that up like that, and then just drill your two pilot holes for your bolts. Once you have those drilled in, you pull your wire from your rock light through this hole, and then that way it mounts right through the back and it'll be nice and flush. Mount them, and then there you go. I'll have 3 in each wheel well. So let me finish that and we'll go from there. Okay, so as you can see, I already have my smaller pilot hole for the wire. Now I typically recommend just making that hole big enough just for the wire, just to eliminate any kind of water buildup or anything there. Plus it seats the wire in through the fender liner here a little bit more snug, which is good. And then I drilled my 2 pilot holes here. So once I get this lined up, throw my bolts in, and then that third rock light will be done. And then on the back, I always recommend using a little bit of blue Loctite just on the threaded part so that your nuts will stay on your bolts longer. And then when you are drilling holes, if you have any excess plastic of the liner kind of sticking out of there, just take a utility knife and trim that off. That way your nuts will thread on your bolts very easily. Okay, we're back. So we got all 3 rock lights mounted and installed in the rear fender liner. Now, what I'm gonna do a little differently this time is I'm gonna cut my wires shorter on the back. So I took all 3, pigtailed them right in the middle, and I cut them about 2 foot long. And then I actually spliced all 3 ends. Mainly because these wires are like 10 feet long. But I'm gonna do my wiring a little bit different this time. So what I'm gonna do differently this time is I'm gonna run a power and ground 14 gauge wire down the driver's side of the truck. Then on the passenger side of the truck, I'm gonna run a 14 gauge power and ground down that side of the truck. Then at the back where the fenders are, I'm gonna splice the 3 powers and 3 grounds into that main power ground that I ran down the side. My goal is I'm gonna try to see if I can plug in a disconnect fitting at this fitting right here at the liner. That way, if I ever have to take the liner out, I could just untape them, unplug them, and I should be good to go. So that's kind of the goal. But I got the one started. So this is number 1. I got 3 more fenders to do. I'm not gonna film all that because I already showed you what I did on this one. So it's gonna be basically the same concept on all 4 liners. Okay, we are back and we got all of the rock lights mounted and pigtailed at each fender liner. So I have the front, the rear, and then I have over here this one here. Again, everything's ready to go. Everything's ready to go here. Okay. And then in the front, I have one wired up into my hood scoop. I have one wired up here, and I have one wired up underneath the truck in the front. I'm still waiting on 4 more. They were back ordered, so I'm waiting for 4 more rock lights that I will mount underneath the truck. So today I'm gonna get everything else wired in and put back together. And then when I get the new ones in, I'll just splice those into the power and ground wire that I'll have running down each side of the truck. So, okay, so just to kind of explain how I'm gonna wire this up, let's just talk about the power, okay? So over here we have 3 rock lights, so we have 3 power and 3 ground. I'm gonna pigtail the 3 power into 1 power wire, okay? Same thing on the back. I'm gonna have 3 power that's gonna be pigtailed into 1 power. Then, to get my main supply source, I'm gonna take a power wire from the front of the engine bay area where I'm gonna tap into my upfitter switch. If you don't have an upfitter switch, you could just go ahead and tap it right into your battery, put in an inline fuse, use a relay, and then run that to a switch. But I have the upfitter switch package, which already has switches that are inside on my dash that are controlled at a box up under the hood that has a fuse and a relay already built in. So that's where I'm gonna get my main power source from, is from the upfitter switch at the top. I'm gonna take 1 wire at the very top where the upfitter switch is, 1 wire, and then I'm gonna splice it into 2 power wires. 1 power wire will come down the driver's side, the other power wire is gonna go down the passenger side. So let's just focus on the driver's side. So we're gonna take a power wire that went from a single power wire to the split. 1 power wire is gonna come down the whole side. Then I'm gonna tap in that power wire at this fender. Remember, we took 3 wires and tapped them into 1, and then we're gonna take that 1 wire and tap it into the main power wire going down. And then in the back, we'll have 3 power wires pigtailed into 1 power wire, which will be tapped into the main power wire that we have running down the driver's side of the truck. Now, that's what I'm doing on each side of the truck, okay? So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I took my main power wire, which I'll have going to my upfitter switch box. It's been spliced, soldered, and shrink wrapped into 2 power wires. So remember, this 1 wire is gonna go to the power source. 1 of these is gonna go down the driver's side. The other is gonna go down the passenger side. Now I'm using 12 gauge wire. It's recommended at 14, but I'm using 12 gauge just because I had a bunch of it laying around. Let me just first disclose, I am not a professional electrician. I don't know amperages. I don't know the amount of draw that falls off over a certain length of wire. I don't know all that stuff, okay? But what I do know is this. If I took a power wire and just had 1 continuous power wire going all the way around the truck, that's a very long power wire. So my thought process is if I split it into 2, so right at the power source up front, I'm gonna split it into 2. That way we have equal lengths on each side of the truck. And then I'm gonna try to split the rock light count onto each side. So right now we have 16 rock lights, 3 in each wheel well, 4 in the front clip. So there's 16, and then I have 4 more coming So that'll give me a total of 20. What I'm gonna try to do is split it so that I have 10 rock lights on the driver's side, 10 rock lights tapped into the power on the passenger side. That way everything's kind of even Steven, and we should be good to go. All right, so let me get working on this, and we'll be back here shortly. But just so you know what I'm using, I like to use these shrink wrap solder fittings. I get these off Amazon. I buy these all the time. They're super easy to use. All you have to do is take one of these sleeves right here, depending on which gauge you're working with, slide it over one of the wires, splice your wires together, slide the sleeve back over top of the wire, then use like a little butane torch or something like this, and then just heat it. And then the heat is gonna activate the solder. It'll melt the solder all around your wire fitting, and then you just run your flame over the rest of it, and it actually becomes a shrink wrap. Then what I'll do is I'll take some Super 33 electrical tape. This is more for indoor and outdoor for cold temperatures. I'll take that, I'll wrap that as well. And then in the very end, I'm gonna try to use some wire loom. I do have some left over. I don't know where I put it, but I did order a big roll the other day, so I'll be using some wire loom as well. Okay, let me just show you exactly how I solder and fit them. So I have them already spliced at the end. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our shrink wrap fitting. I'm using one of the larger ones here. Slide it over top, okay? Then open up your wires in like half, kind of creating like a V, okay, like that, okay? Do that on all of them. So we're gonna take this into like a V shape, this into a V shape, like so, okay? Now the two main wires I'm gonna put those together. Not twisting them, just putting them together so that the Ys are lined up, like so, okay? Kind of like that. Then my extra one that had the solder fitting on it, what you're gonna do is take them like this. Let me see if I can get this to work, kind of like this. You're gonna take them right here and connect them like that. You know what I mean? You're taking the two Ys and kind of doing this way, but you don't go from the plastic housing to the plastic housing. You wanna leave about, you know, a quarter of an inch, maybe a half an inch, but a quarter of an inch, about that far, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold it and then pinch everything and then just twist it all. The goal of doing it this way is that everything will be twisted and then still in a nice straight line, like so. Then, when you have that, you take your large fitting. Now again, I'm using the larger fitting here because I'm using 12 gauge wire. You can always use smaller fittings if you have smaller wire. So you're gonna slide it over top, just like that. And what you want is the solder fitting to be directly above the middle of where you actually spliced all your wires. Then you're gonna take your torch, and then just like this, over top of the solder, different angles. And you can start to see that solder melting. Then just lightly go over the housing here, the shrink wrap. All right, we're done. Now you have a shrink wrapped, waterproof, soldered fitting right there. And it's not gonna go anywhere. Okay, so what I ended up deciding I'm gonna try to do, this is the rear fender liner. So what I did was I took the 3 rock lights, remember I had 3 wires, put them all together into one loom. Then I actually took all 3 power and all 3 ground, then solder fitted them into quick disconnects. And also, I will finish taping this up, but I left a little bit exposed so that I know which one was the power wire before I loom up the rest of it. But the goal is to have an easy plug and play, and then I have the adapters here that when I actually go run the power and ground all the way back, I'll tie off of that with these. That way I can easily connect and disconnect my fender liners. Now I'm not gonna worry about doing the disconnects on every rock light. I'm only gonna focus on my actual fender liners because these are a little bit more of a pain in the butt to get in and out. So I figured when I do this, I'm gonna try to make something a little easier for down the road and see how it works out. But that's what I'm gonna try and see how it goes. But so far it's looking pretty clean. I just gotta finish running the wires from the engine bay along the truck here, and then I'll pigtail off of those to tap into here, and then we should be pretty much good to go. So let me get finished and we'll go from there. Okay, so just to kind of show you what I did, if we look over here, I basically, right there is my center point of the two runs. This run going this way goes down the passenger side of the truck, this run goes down the driver's side of the truck. But that's where I have everything spliced, the main power and ground supply from here coming over to here. So I have my upfitter switch that's gonna go to my power, and I have my ground that I'm gonna ground over here when we're all said and done. So basically, what I'm doing for the fenders is here's the wire that comes down over here. It drops behind the fender. I spliced into it right here and created a pigtail with disconnects, which will connect right to here, like a harness. Connect them, disconnect them, we should be good to go. And then from this spliced point here, where I spliced my disconnects into the main, I'm gonna run that down the back, and we're gonna do the same in the back wheel. So once all four wheels are done, I'm only doing the wheels with the disconnects, okay? Then what I'm gonna do is my four front lights, I'm gonna take two on the left and two on the right. I'm gonna tie them over here and just splice them right into the power wire. So right now I'm just finishing up the wheel well liners, and then we should be done here very soon. So I got both fronts done. Now I gotta go do the back. And this is why I can never get anything done on my days off. Okay, everybody, we are finally done. It has been a very long day. I've been working on this by myself for probably a good 8 hours because I had to take everything off the truck, disassemble all of the old rock lights, cut all the zip ties, unwire everything. So that took me a couple hours to take care of all that. And then I had to rewire all the new rock lights in and come up with some different things that I wanted to do. So we're finally done. Everything's installed. Everything's looking great. And we'll come back later tonight to show you what it looks like at night. Okay, so we are back. It is nighttime. It is dark out. And obviously the truck is right in front of you. It's just too dark to see it. So here, I'll hit the unlock button. And you can see right there. Let's go ahead and turn these rock lights on and see what they look like. I have them hooked up to my upfitter switch. Again, turn these on real quick. All right here, number one. Boop. There we go. Now again, I'm going to be getting more rock lights hopefully within this next week for underneath, but I have 3 in each wheel well. Here's the front. Again, I have 1 up here in the hood scoop. I have 2 here in the grill, and I have 1 underneath the truck for now. So again, there's the front. There's the back. Again, we got 3 lights under there. I'll go around the other side. Three bright there. And 3 under there. I definitely think that if I put 4 more under here, it'll really help create that glow underneath. And I should be getting them probably within the next week or so. They were on back order, but they're finally in and they shipped, so I should be having more in very soon. But that's it. We're gonna go with all bright white rock lights this year. And the only thing I'm gonna have color options on are the wheel lights and then my interior lights. So that's it. We're gonna go ahead and end this video because it's starting to rain again, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like at night. That's it for today's video. Hope this helps you out. Hope you guys like the video. So go ahead and do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And also subscribe to the channel because it definitely helps me out. It really just shows me that you appreciate all of the hard work that I'm doing, putting these videos out here for all of you. And it just encourages me to keep doing more. So again, the rain's starting to come down. We're gonna call it quits for now. I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you. I truly appreciate you all. I really just wanted to say thank you for sticking with me for all this time and helping this channel grow. And I look forward to many, many videos in the future and watching this channel grow even further. So again, thank you. And as always, see you in the next video.